Hello everyone to another review. This time I wanted to talk about an all-time favorite of mine, the adventure game Atlantis, The Lost Tales. It's a French game from 1997 and as the name implies, it takes place on the long-forgotten city of Atlantis where you have to uncover a grand conspiracy and save the world from an ancient evil. Please note that this review is based on the extended cut, which is a fan-made patch that re-adds missing content into the game. But the main reason I'm using it is because this game can be a bitch to get running on modern systems. So let's get started. You slip into the role of Thess, who wants to be a member of the Companions, basically a fan club who swore to protect the Queen of Atlantis. But you couldn't have picked a better time, because on your first day on the job, the Queen has been kidnapped. Cryo, her queen's consort, doesn't seem to be very motivated to rescue her. In a matter of fact, it seems even he has something to do with it, but you just have to take a look at him to figure that out. So we have to take matters in our own hands and uncover this mystery. And it doesn't take you that long to find out that the whole city is full of traitors who want to get rid of the queen, and to make matters worse, you are also a target that has to be eliminated. Seriously, everyone in this game wants you dead and does not hesitate to murder you. But the crown for all this pointless killing definitely takes our side character, King Honali. You meet him after crash landing on a small island. One of Cryo's men is with you, and all you have to know is that the two of you hate each other. So the king comes along and doesn't know who of you speaks the truth. So he invites you to play a game of craps, and the loser shall be executed. Naturally, you win that crap game, and what follows next is one of the coldest moments in the game. While the scene is about to unfold, you get the feeling that the whole execution thing was just made up, when suddenly the king pushes Cryo's man from a cliff. What the fucking psychopath. I love him. Speaking of dying, you will do that a lot. You can fail for even the smallest things. The best example would be right at the start. There is this bully who demands some wine from us. So you can either give him a cup or deny his request. And now get this. If you actually give him a drink, then that's it. The game is over because you didn't stand up against the bully. What kind of bullshit is that? Besides our psychopath, you also meet some friendly faces. Hector, your chauffeur, becomes your best buddy throughout the story. Then there is your fisherman Action, who's alright and helps you out from time to time. And of course, there's also his daughter Anna, who becomes your love interest, and let me tell you, the first encounter with her didn't go that smooth. During your adventure, you visit all different kind of places on your odyssey, like a forest, a snowy desert, a mysterious island, and my favorite one, a creepy cave. What is so scary about a cave, you might ask? Well, it is not an ordinary one. Just look at that. There's a woman sitting in the middle of nowhere and spinning some yarn, or whatever the hell she's doing, or not responding to your interactions. And when you try to enter one of these doorways, then you get fucking murdered. Not only that, but afterwards you find yourself in this lynch-like environment that gives you more questions than answers, and also made me very uncomfortable as a kid. But now, all grown up, I really like this shit. When you finally manage to rescue your queen, then guess what? You never see her again. She just gives up and goes into exile. Now you have to fight an ancient evil in the form of a parasite all by yourself, while your best buddy Waza wants to stay behind on an island and bang some natives. Yeah, that really happened. Luckily, Seth doesn't give up that quickly and is definitely the best part of the game. It is such a joy to see him reacting to other characters. He's not your dumb, naive, mainstream hero who has no idea what is going on and questions everything. I'm talking to you, Waden. No, this guy here adapts perfectly to each situation. In one scene, he is playing a cute priestess who has to make some guards drunk by giving them some booze, and in the next instance, he becomes a guard while commanding everyone around, including the fucking queen, which I just love. This character is always very optimistic, even if he is knee deep in the shit. When it comes to gameplay, Atlantis plays similar to games like Myst and other first-person adventure games from the old days. The entire game can be played with only the mouse. You use it to look around, interact with objects, and move forward. And as most games from these times, you will solve a lot of puzzles. But don't be worried, they are not that hard and I found them quite entertaining. For example, you have to play a board game by getting to the queen before the ogress do. In other instances, you must sneak by some guards by listening carefully to their footsteps, or you navigate yourself on a cracking floor while Creon's men are nearby. Another riddle that was quite memorable and fun to do is to place some statues and emblems in a specific order. You see, each queen here has a different taste about music and food, so you have to figure out what they prefer by listening to what they have to say and then draw a conclusion. Another puzzle that stuck with me was playing a pinball game with a fucking rat. Yeah, I'm not kidding you. However, that doesn't mean that the game is flawless. You will also have your puzzles where you have to check the screen for a very specific pixel to get the next item to proceed. I always find that very annoying, especially if you have no idea that you are even supposed to look for something. This can lead to moments where you run in circles just to figure out what to do. And there are also some illogical ones, like cutting a chain with a knife. I mean, come on, are you serious? There was also one riddle where you have to hunt a boar. What sounds fun at first can get frustrating later because you have no idea where the animal will appear, and even if you do, it only shows up once in a while. So without a walkthrough, you need some luck to run into it. What this game really could have needed was some kind of a journal where you can review your tasks or even your last conversations with the NPCs. There are some instances where you get some tips on how to solve a riddle, but if you are forgettable like me, then you probably have no fucking idea what to do when you reach that puzzle. And yeah, you will talk to a lot of people. I like how instead of your typical text boxes, you have pictures to click. I love when games don't go by the books and try to do something different for a change. Sometimes it is vital with who you are speaking to and which topics you mention to not get murdered. For example, later in the game, you return to Atlantis after making yourself a lot of enemies, so naturally you walk into a bar and be greeted by all your good friends. Luckily, you are dressed as a guard, so we can use that to our advantage and talk with the dumbest one in the room. Make him believe that we are on a secret mission for Creon and you get yourself a new ally. And this leads to a funny moment where his buddies scream at him desperately to finally kill you, while you just casually walk outside the door. But what I found quite distracting was how the game zooms at the head of the NPCs whenever someone was speaking, like in your Oblivion game. The heads were always moving constantly. It looks like these characters have a seizure, or what the fuck is going on here. Let's talk a bit about the graphics, because believe it or not, but when this game came out over 20 years ago, the graphics were fantastic. I remember seeing them as a child on my parents' PC and it blew my mind. Of course, you would probably see that in a different kind of light when you are playing it today. What they basically did was to use pre-rendered backgrounds to give you some impressive sceneries. But back in the days, we didn't know what pre-rendered meant, so for me, it was just a great looking game. Probably the best I had ever seen in my life. And while now, decades later, the graphics are a bit blurry, I still find them quite appealing. You can see that a lot of work went into creating these environments. Playing such an old game also means you will run into compatibility issues. As mentioned in the beginning, I had to install the extended cut patch to get this thing even running, and I still encounter some crashes whenever I try to alt-tab out of the game or randomly during my play sessions, so keep that in mind. The game did a pretty good job in the audio department. The voice actors were alright and give the characters you meet their own distinctive personality. Most notably is our hero Seth, who's just fun to listen to. With that said, some dubbing was quite distracting. For example, King Honalai has a very British accent and his voice doesn't fit his character at all. which took me out of the game whenever he was speaking. Or maybe it was all intentional to make him even more uncanny. But where they definitely surpassed themselves was in making the soundtrack. Now this game has one of the best music tracks I have ever listened to in a video game. It is such a joy. If you have some spare times, then check it out, because even if you have no interest in playing this game, you might want to consider to give the music a try. The songs that stood out the most for me were Sunriders, which is the most obvious one, Back to Atlantis, if you want the more calm and relaxing experience, or my all-time favorite, Laloon, which plays while you uncover the origin of the hidden knowledge, a secret weapon that Cryo wants to get his hands on. And that is the end of this review. To make it short, this game still holds up even 20 years later. While the story is nothing groundbreaking, it keeps you entertained. So if you are looking for something that isn't that difficult to solve and want to explore a mysterious world, then this game is definitely worth checking out. Yeah, you will need a walkthrough here and there, but come on, which old school adventure game don't require one? The game world itself is just fascinating to look at, and sometimes the game manages to immerse you completely into it, so that you just stand still for a moment, listening to the music, and just let the world speak for itself. With that said, play the damn game, and have a nice evening.
What have you got in that bag?
What's it look like?
Let me see. Like somebody inside a bag.
Yes, but who?
A woman?
You're good at this. Now, any idea which woman?
How should I know? Could be anyone.
I'll give you a clue. Someone royal who recently went missing?
You don't mean...
Shh. Secret information, friend.
But I heard she escaped.
That's what everybody heard.
Oh, very clever. And he's putting her on his flyer?
A little trip out to sea, then splash.
Splash?
Tragic, isn't it?
Heartbreaking. Well, the secret's safe with me.